Today my guest is Jim Holmes. Jim, how are you?
I'm well, Dave. Thanks.
I just returned about a week ago from a conference called CodeMash. Are you familiar with this conference?
A little bit.
I'm playing with you. You're really the driving force behind CodeMash these days.
No. So I actually did a blog post on this on my blog at frazzledad.com.
Uh-huh.
I am not CodeMash. I'm the chief cat herder. I delegate a lot of tasks. I come up with some crazy ideas, and I write checks. But there are a lot of people that work really hard, and that would include Brian Prince, Jason Gilmore, Jason Follis, Dan Marsh. We've got a whole group of people that were on the content selection committee. So I am not CodeMash, and I'm very emphatic about that.
All right, now I'm not going to dispute the hard work that any of those people did, but I had Mary Popenick on my show recently, and she pointed out that you were the leader. And who am I to dispute Mary Popenick?
Well, she's a tough lady to argue with, but yeah.
So what is CodeMash? What were you trying to accomplish? This is the fourth year of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually wasn't on the group of people that came up with the idea for it. 5 or maybe even 5.5 years ago, Jason Gilmore, Brian Prince, and Drew Robbins, who works for Microsoft, and there may have been a couple other folks who were actually having dinner or something, so the story goes, and they were talking about all the conferences that were around, and they were just kind of bemoaning the fact that really everything's kind of stovepiped.
Okay.
And they thought it'd be cool to get a conference together where kind of the goal is get people from all these interesting different technology domains that solve similar problems but in different ways together, and do it in a kind of positive, encourage communication fashion, not some smackdown, not something that's starting off with a tone of, my stuff's better than yours, but rather get people chatting and learning about how other people solve the same problems that you run into on a daily basis.
Okay, so by stovepiping you mean conferences that cater only to a single technology.
Yeah, exactly. So you can go to Dev Connections in Vegas, and that's .NET only. You can go to eRubyCon in Columbus, which is awesome, but it is the vast majority of that's only Ruby, and then there are Java things and Python things. So this was kind of trying to smash all that stuff together and see what came out.
Kind of code smash it all together.
Yeah.
Okay, so so that's interesting because a couple of those guys you mentioned are either worked for Microsoft at the time or work for Microsoft now, and they're actually encouraging by putting on a conference like that. They're encouraging people to look at other technologies, competing technologies.
Yep.
Is that good for Microsoft?
Yeah, it is. So obviously I'm not Microsoft, but they've been significantly involved from the get-go, but in a really, I think, interesting fashion. So you can point to any number of things over, Microsoft's got a history of being pretty hard-nosed about certain business things, and they've got a reputation that's well-earned for that. On the other hand, there are significant pockets in Microsoft that are actively searching out to have communication with other people and other technologies. So you can argue about motivation for that, but I don't really care about that. The result at CodeMash, and particularly here in the Heartland, is that all of those people, all of the evangelism team, everybody else really searches out all of these other communities to just have some interaction. I mean, the fact of the matter is those other people are out there getting work done and being productive at it. You can either argue and waste a lot of energy on fighting about it, or you can get a productive conversation going.
Yeah, they learn something from those folks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to ask you what's different about this conference, and I think you answered that question already, that this conference doesn't just focus on a single technology stack, that it spans those. I thought, but in the past I've always thought of kind of group conferences in two categories by size. There's the big national conferences like Dev Connections and PDC, which I rarely get to go to because of the cost involved, the travel involved. And then there's the code camps, one-day code camps. Around here we call them Data.nets. These are free or very, very cheap. They last a day, mostly regional speakers. This doesn't really fit either of those categories.
No, it doesn't.
Is that by design?
Yeah, it is. CodeMash code camps are cool, and I'm involved in a number of the regional Dave.net things, but it's only one day, it's generally a weekend, and there's only so much content you can get out in those. And they are somewhat stovepiped. We'll have a notional track for non.net stuff at the Central Ohio Dave.net, but the whole point of CodeMash is go get out of your comfort zone, and so that's kind of that key difference, not from the size, but rather from the goal of the conference. And Bill Wagner and Diane Marsh, who run SRT Solutions up in Ann Arbor, yeah, they're great folks. Diane's been on the planning committee, but they send every one of their employees and they tell them, don't go to sessions that you know the topic already.
So tell the Java developers, go to the Ruby sessions. Tell the Ruby developers, go to the .NET sessions.
Get out of your comfort zone.
Go somewhere else, yeah.
Yep. So there's that tone thing, and content, and then size-wise, we're never going to be anything like Dev Connections, much less PDC. It's never going to be thousands of people running around. First off, we can't fit them there, but that's really not the goal. We do no marketing whatsoever, none. Word of CodeMash is spread by people who have attended previously and have really liked what they've seen and are excited about it. So we're really blessed with the audience that we get in, because I'm a little biased, but it's cream of the crop because it's people who are passionate and engaged and want to go there to get outside their comfort zone.
Okay. Yeah, as one of the audience, I'll take that as a compliment. So what's next year? Have you started planning for next year? It's only a week and a half away from the last one.
No, I'm still sleeping, recovering from the last one.
How long does it take to plan a conference this size? Because I know that you're up to, 700 people?
Yeah.
Right now, which is a pretty good sized conference for, we started at a couple hundred.
Yeah, the first one, I was being, I don't know what the right word is, I was stretching things to say that we had 250 folks there.
Okay.
We probably had more, right around 200.
Okay.
And so in, 3 years later, after the first one, we actually sold out in 32 days. So for next year, we're actually at the limit of the number of people that we can fit in the facility.
Yeah, they'll have to build another water park next door.
Yeah, well, it's not even just the water park. It's we have no more rooms that we can use to put additional sessions in.
Right.
We had 8 concurrent tracks going, and that was every room at the Kalahari used. And moreover, the dining room is pretty much maxed out for being able to sit in there comfortably.
Right.
So I could expand out and make the dining room bigger, but then I'd lose 2 session rooms, and so anyway.
Sure. You had other things going on too, like the coding dojo.
Coding dojo, right.
You had labs set up in a section.
Open spaces.
Open spaces was a big thing.
Yeah.
It was always crowded when I walked through there. What else? CodeMash.
CodeMash, yeah, that's for, actually, so going back to what differentiates CodeMash, something that I'm very passionate about is bringing the families along to the conference. And at other venues, you don't really have any reason to bring your family along with. But at CodeMash, it's at the Kalahari Resorts, which is just this really cool indoor water park plus a great conference venue. So people bring their families and the spouses while the attendees going off doing techie geeky things. The spouses go off. There's actually CodeMash Families, which is run by Melissa Insko, and she sets up the schedule of things that if you want to go, you can, and it's for kids and for parents. On Fridays, we run Kids Mash, which is where we have a couple sessions that are targeted specifically toward kids. So there's this whole...
I didn't know that. Really? You have sessions there at the Kids Mash. I thought it was a place with just like, kids color and build. It was like just play activities.
So there's that on Thursday, but on Friday, Arnolfo Wing gave a talk on programming for kids, and Dwayne Collicott actually brought in a whole bunch of Lego robots and shows kids kind of how to do simple programming for Legos. And so
That's
like
very cool.
basically we have to like, put an electric fence up there to keep the big geeks out so that only the kids get
That's
in.
why I wasn't told about it.
Yeah.
But that's right. So I was at the conference and I wasn't even aware this was going on. That tells how much was going on at the conference. Always 7 or 8 things going on, at least 7 or 8 sessions, plus 3 or 4 other things going on.
Yeah.
It made it hard to choose.
There's an awesome mix, and actually, we had initially only planned 7 tracks this year, but there was so much, not uproar, but on Twitter, so many people were saying, "Oh man, I've got like 5 different sessions where I've got a conflict between 2 or 3 things I want to see at the same time." Mm-hmm. So we actually rearranged rooms, and we opened up another room this year as an 8th track, which was just best of CodeMash. And we actually put a survey out, and based on responses from attendees, we slotted in some repeats.
Okay. So next year, what's going to change? Can't get bigger, I guess.
No, can't get bigger. So we've always worked really, really hard at the content. The content is what makes the conference successful. People would not come back in the numbers if we had sucky content. So we're going to continue to kind of refine and improve how we select content and what we offer. We'll still be doing the pre-compiler next year, which is an optional 1-day workshop day. I think next year, simply because we can't grow, it's going to be about refining how we run the conference and what we offer. The one, kind of going back to the whole family involvement thing, we're actually on Thursday night, after the cocktail party, we are going to have a private party in the water park in the evening.
So you're going to get everybody drunk, and then you're going to take it into the water park. Do you think that's wise?
So, CodeMash liability says, we only give you 1 drink ticket for a free drink. What you choose to do with your own cash or on the black market for tickets. But yeah, they have
How did I end up
lifeguards.
with all those tickets?
Yeah, I don't know how you got all those. No, but so many people get really wound up with all the stuff that goes on during the day that it's like 8 o'clock. They get some free time, they want to go to the water park, and they can't because the water park closes at 9. So if you have brought your family along with you, maybe you've missed the opportunity there, or if you're just there by yourself, you don't have an opportunity to go play. So we'll have the water park open for a few hours, and you can go out and hang out. And
Kalahari's going to extend their hours for us.
not extend, we have a private party. So we will own the water park there from 10 till 1.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice touch. All right, well, I'm looking forward to next year. I've been 3 times. I've had a great time every single time. And I really appreciate what you're doing.
Well, thanks. Yeah, so it's amazing the number of friends that I've formed through all this weird technology over social media. Like people that I've never met face to face on Twitter through the, social networking gets overused, but without that technology, I couldn't stay as in touch with the people that I meet at CodeMash or other conferences.